Kind mechanic repairs boy's wheelchair. Weeks later, a private jet brings an unbelievable gift. The rain drizzled over the small town of Willow Creek, turning the cracked sidewalks into mirrors reflecting the warm glow of the street lamps. Inside a modest auto repair shop at the corner of Main Street, Mark Dawson wiped the grease off his hands and glanced at the clock. Almost closing time. Just as he reached for his jacket, the shop door creaked open. A boy, no older than 10, wheeled himself inside. His chair was old, its wheels stiff, the left one wobbling with every push. Behind him stood an elderly woman, her eyes filled with quiet worry. "Sorry to bother you this late," she said. "My grandson, Tommy, his wheelchair is acting up, and we don't have the money for a new one. I thought, maybe, you could take a look?" Mark knelt beside Tommy, inspecting the chair. The bolts were rusted, the frame bent. It wasn't just acting up, it was falling apart. The boy sat patiently, his face full of quiet determination. "Think you can fix it, mister?" Tommy asked, his voice light, but hopeful. Mark smiled. "I think I can do better than that." That night, long after the last car had left the shop, Mark got to work. He welded the frame, replaced the bearings, and even repainted it a sleek blue. It wasn't brand new, but when Tommy wheeled it out the next morning, it glided smoother than ever. "How much do we owe you?" Tommy's grandmother asked hesitantly. Mark shook his head. "Just promise me you'll keep rolling forward, kid." Tommy beamed, his joy filling the shop like sunlight breaking through clouds. Weeks later. Mark had nearly forgotten about the boy when a black car pulled up outside his shop one evening. A sharply dressed man stepped out, holding an envelope. "Mark Dawson?" he asked. Mark nodded, wiping his hands on his oil-streaked rag. The man smiled. "A private jet is waiting for you at Willow Creek Airfield. Someone has sent for you." Confused, Mark opened the envelope. Inside was a handwritten note. "Because of your kindness, I can chase my dreams. I'd like to return the favor. Please come. Tommy." Mark's heart pounded. He had never left Willow Creek, let alone flown on a private jet. But something told him he needed to see where this road led. The gift. When the jet landed, Mark found himself in a sprawling estate, standing before a man in a wheelchair, Tommy's father, a billionaire entrepreneur. "I lost my ability to walk years ago," the man said, his voice thick with emotion. "When my son told me about the mechanic who fixed his wheelchair without asking for a dime, I knew I had to meet you." He gestured to a covered object nearby. When the cloth was pulled away, Mark gasped. It was a state-of-the-art auto repair shop, fully stocked, fully funded, and his to own. "I've seen people buy kindness," Tommy's father said, "but rarely do I see people give it so freely. I want to make sure you never have to struggle again." Mark ran AH.